Good morning. Okay, let me get this video shared and then I will get started. If you are on live with me, say hello, or if you are on the replay, say hello. Okay, get this shared. I'm also going to be going live on Instagram at the same time, trying to be more efficient over here, so I'm just trying to get all my ducks in a row. Get that set up. But today I will be talking about my process for financially preparing for a trip. So let me hurry up and get this shared. How do I share this? Okay, share in a group. City Girl Saving. Hey, okay. Yeah, we're about to get started. Okay. Let's do this. If you are here with me, say hi. If you're catching the replay, say hello. Today I'm going to be walking you guys through my process for financially preparing for a trip, a vacation. Anytime you have to go somewhere, whether it's not a vacation, you just have to travel somewhere. I'm going to walk you through my process. And I'm on Instagram and I'm also on Facebook, so I'm looking at both screens here, but say hi if you're with me and let me know if any of my tips resonate with you, if this is something that you do as you financially prepare for a trip. So why am I talking about this right now? Well, I am actually traveling to LA in a week from today. Super excited. If you guys know me or you've been on the phone with me or a past client, current client, you know that I lived in LA for 7 years. So it's like my second home. So I'm really excited to go back for a little bit of work, a little bit of fun. One of my best girlfriends is having a birthday, so definitely want to celebrate there. But that's why I am talking to you today about how I financially prepare for a trip. My trip planning process starts as early as possible. I am not one of those people who takes a trip short notice, although I have in the past, but I like to plan as early as I can because I feel that planning for a trip gives you time to financially prepare, and the earlier you can start saving and planning for your trip, it's going to be so much easier financially. You're not going to have to save as much until your trip comes, right? Because you have more time. So I usually plan as early as I can. Doesn't always happen like that, but my process still works. You just have to save more in a shorter amount of time. That's just the reality of it, right? Now, if you guys know me or know my past history, ask me 12 years ago what my vacation or trip planning process was financially, and it would be go with the flow, meaning I would use any extra money I had to take a trip or money I didn't have to take a trip, and I would come back and feel like shit because I didn't have the money for the trip, but I was going anyways. I don't do that anymore. I don't think anybody should do that. A trip is so much better when you know that it's taken care of financially. So this is my process. So first and foremost, I price out the key expenses for my trip. So that includes the flight, any hotel or lodging, Airbnb is big now, and the rental car. So for the flight, I have an airlines I always stick with. I get points through them, which is amazing, right? Because as you travel and accumulate points, you get that, you get free flights, you get free hotel stays, all this good stuff. So I usually always go with the same airlines, and that is usually my first purchase when it comes to my vacation, or my trip. So I'm seeing what the flights are as early as I possibly can. What is the price? I mean, for example, for my trip to LA, I've flown back and forth to LA numerous times, and I know if I can get a ticket around 200, that's a steal. So for this flight, this particular trip I'm taking next week, I got my ticket for under 200. I booked it instantly. sometimes, you know, when it comes to flights, the price can skyrocket. You can use apps to help you price it right, get the timing right. But I'm just like, if I have the money to pay for it, let me get it out of the way. One less thing I have to worry about. Flight is always first, and is always as early as possible. I pay for it as soon as I possibly can. Next is my hotel or lodging, and this is usually my second purchase when it comes to planning a trip. So similar to flights, I only stay where I get perks, points, or rewards. Me personally, I'm an SPG member. It's the Starwood Preferred Guest. That is like the Sheratons, Westins, Marriotts, all those hotel chains. I've been with them for years, and so for this trip I'm taking next week, I got at least 4 nights covered just through points. So that was pretty awesome. Now, sometimes where I'm traveling, they don't have one of those hotel chains, so that's fine. I go with the cheapest, nicest option, right? So I'm not gonna stay in a dump. I won't do that to myself, but I also am not gonna spend exorbitant amounts of money when I can stay somewhere that's nice, that's safe, that's, you know, comfortable, especially if I'm not planning on being the hotel, you know, the whole time. I'll go with that. But usually I try to stick with a hotel that I have perks with. I don't typically do Airbnb or HomeAway unless I'm with a group of people. But you know, when you're going with a group of people, it makes things easier because you can divvy out the cost. So hotel or lodging is usually my second purchase when I'm planning a trip. The good thing about, you know, if you're staying in a hotel, once you book the hotel, you don't pay. So you don't pay until you actually stay there. So you know exactly what it's going to cost you when you get there. So now you can start saving, right? So let's use an example. Let's just say hotel is going to be $500 for your entire time there. You have 5 months to save up for it. Well, obviously that's $100 a month. That's a lot better than not saving for it at all and then having to shell up $500 because you didn't plan or save for it, right? So that's kind of what I do. I look at what is going to be the total cost. I know when it's going to be due. I know how much time I have until I have to pay it. Let me start saving for it in small, reasonable amounts until I get there. So hotel is paid for by the time I take the trip. And then usually my third purchase, sometimes I don't do this, is a rental car. So I'm going to be in LA for a week. I need a car. I do take Uber Lyfts, maybe if I wasn't, you know, staying somewhere so long or didn't need a car, but I do need a car for all the stuff I got to do. Once again, I use my perks and rewards. I'm an enterprise member, so, you know, the more rentals you have with them, the more perks and points and rewards you get. You can use that for discounts, all that good stuff. So if you like to travel, maybe you don't do it often, but you want to, start signing up for these companies and get as many perks and rewards as you possibly can. It makes a huge difference. So similar to the hotel with a rental car, you know what the cost is going to be before you go. So I knew exactly what the rental car would cost me, and I had, you know, enough time to save up for it. By the time I get there, rental car is paid for. So hotel, rental car, flight, already paid for before I take the trip. And so like I was telling you about the hotel, ultimately my process is this. I take the total amount needed for the trip. So, you know, flight is usually already paid for, but let's say it hasn't been. Total amount of the flight, total amount of the hotel, total amount of the rental car, and divide it by the number of months I have before I need to pay for it. So, you know, $250 ticket is needed in 3 months. Well, I save $85 a month or $43 a paycheck. When you break it down like that, it's so much easier. And, you know, $43 a paycheck, if I get paid every other week, not so bad, right? Like I can just skip a couple meals out and boom, it's paid for. So that's usually what I do to plan and pay for a trip. Now, let's talk about key expenses during the trip, right? Because your saving isn't done just when your flight, hotel, and rental car are covered. No, you're going to be spending money while you're there. That's just how it goes, right? So I asked myself a few questions. Do I have any specific things planned for my trip? You know, how much will these things cost? Am I going exploring? Am I doing specific activities? You know, if it's a vacation, am I doing excursions, all that good stuff? If so, how much is it going to cost me? And can I get these things ahead of time? My ultimate goal is to have as much as possible paid for before I go, if not everything paid for before I go. So asking myself this question and giving myself time to plan and save for it is huge. So do I have anything specific planned, and how much will it cost me? Once I know those things, I can start saving for it. Next question I ask, how many days am I staying, right? Because maybe you're staying a week like I will be, but you don't budget the right amount of money for a week. Maybe you only budget for 3 days. That's not good. Then you're going to feel like the rest of the time you're tight on your budget. You can't really spend, but you're on vacation. You got to eat, right? Like you can't not eat. So I always think about how many days I'm staying and determine a daily number for my food and fun spending. So how long am I staying there? Am I going to have access to food? You know, can I go to the grocery store? If not, that means I likely need to eat out, which will be, you know, at least twice a day. So I got to think about those things. And then I got to think about the things I'm going to do while I'm there. Maybe I don't have specific activities planned, but I know I'm going to have a little bit of fun. I'm going to go out, going to explore. So I need to make sure that I have enough money each day for the entire time of my trip set aside so I can really enjoy myself and not have to worry about money. And then another thing I think about is, can I use funds from my normal fun and food budget, right? Because every month I allocate a specific amount of money to food and fun. So if I'm going on a trip, well, can I use some of that money that I already have budgeted for myself to, you know, eat and do things while I'm on my trip? So I think about that as well. And the same formula applies, right? You're going to take the total amount you need for, you know, your entire time there for food and fun and divide it by the number of months before you need to pay for it. So let me give you another example. 5-day trip, I need $150 a day for food and fun. That means I need $750 total for my trip while I'm there. We're not talking flight, hotel, any of that stuff. We're talking food and fun. So if I have 6 months to save, well, that's $125 a month and $62.50 a paycheck. Again, that is not difficult, right? When you break it down like that, it's so much easier to have your money set aside and allocated towards what it needs to be done. And then obviously I can look at other areas of my budget and, you know, cut back to make up for what I need to save for the trip. But ultimately, the end goal is to have everything paid for before I go on my trip, or at least have the money, you know, in a travel account to pay for everything right when I return. So my strategy is everything goes on my travel rewards credit card, but I already have the balance for everything saved. So when I get back from my trip and all my spending's done, I just pay my card off. Boom, done. I got all those points. Everything's paid for, and I move on about my budget for the month. So that's how I financially prepare for a trip, a vacation, all of that good stuff. Plan as early as possible, then price out what you need, and give yourself time to save for it. It makes life so much better when you can go on a trip and not have to worry about money. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys like my tips. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And I will see you guys later. Bye, everyone.